I like the dumbbell lateral raise because it's super simple and you can get them done quickly. You can grab a pair of dumbbells a lot faster than you can set up a cable, especially if you do cables one arm at a time. So I do think they are the most time-efficient shoulder exercise, but I don't think they're the most effective shoulder exercise. That's because you have zero tension on your side delts at the bottom when they're the most stretched, and you don't reach peak tension until your arms are at 90 degrees when the delts are most shortened. But despite this limitation, they'll still clearly grow your shoulders. This has been proven by real-world examples of bodybuilders who've built huge side delts from dumbbell laterals. And I still do these myself whenever I'm pressed for time. But because of the slightly suboptimal tension curve, I'm putting these in B tier. However, if you lean against something, like a bench or a rack, you suddenly modify the resistance curve to place more tension on your side delt when it's most stretched. I think that this is the most effective way to do lateral raises with dumbbells. The lean-in dumbbell lateral raise is going in A tier. Leaning away might shift some emphasis away from the muscles of the rotator cuff and onto the lateral delt, depending on how you interpret this study, but it still has the issue of not placing high enough tension in the stretched position. So I'm putting these in B tier as well. Okay, here's a spicy one, the Super ROM lateral raise. I picked these up from Dr. Mike Israetel when we trained shoulders together, and man, they definitely lit my delts up. I think this is a very rare movement where you actually get the side delt fully contracted. I like that. And even though the trend of the current evidence is converging on the stretch being more important than the squeeze, there's actually very little direct evidence on the shoulders about this. So I think these are worth trying. That said, because they have the same resistance curve issues as the standard dumbbell lateral raise, they're not quite good enough to get into A tier. I'm putting the Super ROM lateral raise in B tier. Right, I'll get to cable lateral raise is incredible because as long as you set the cable at around hand height, it'll provide maximum tension on the side delt while it's most stretched. That's because you get the highest tension whenever your arm and the cable form a 90-degree angle. Perhaps more importantly though, I find a cable lateral raise just feels excellent. You get that nice, even tension on your side delts throughout the range of motion. I personally find I can connect with my side delts even better if I use wrist cuffs. That's because even though my grip won't be a limiting factor here, my forearms still get a big pump, and that takes away some of my focus from my delts. But then if I just have a floating hand with nothing to hold on to, it feels a bit awkward. So I hold on to a lacrosse ball with the cuff. This might be too gimmicky for some of you, but I love them. You really can't go wrong with a cable lateral raise, whether you do them with a standard D handle or with cuffs, and that's why they're going straight to S tier.